Hey everybody, welcome to the Draw This in Your Style review with the Draw This in Your Style challenge review with Jangus. Hey Jangus.
Hey.
I always resist looking through these until we get to the review meeting because I always want my response to these to be genuine. So this is the first time I've gotten to look over all of the submissions for this time. Jangus, have you checked them out yet?
Yeah, I've been lurking pretty
Oh,
hard.
okay. That's enough. So you probably already have a lot of opinions about which ones you like and all this stuff.
I don't know about like opinions. Honestly, I think a big part of it is I'm looking forward to just talking to people about like their design ideas because
Awesome.
there's a lot of really good submissions. Like all of them are really good, and I'm excited to go through them.
All right, I'm gonna pull open your original piece here, just so we can flash that on screen for the recording really quick. Because this is Astrid, the Void Seer design you made specifically for this challenge, I think.
Yes, and should we also have the screen up in
You know what?
Discord?
That's actually an excellent idea. Thank you for reminding me. Let me just flip over to the stage really quick so I can do a screen share. There. Okay. And so now you guys can see what I'm seeing. And we got the final. All right. And so we got Astrid here. Tell us a little bit about Astrid.
Yeah. So I was really struggling to figure out what to do for this challenge. So I dug through my old notes. I have this sort of large scale world building project. And I was digging through notes on there, and I had sort of a weird idea that I thought would fit, which is, it's basically a powerful wizard who attempts to see beyond the void, and part of the ritual to see beyond the void is to cast yourself in molten copper. So, so I thought it'd
As
be
one
cool to do, like,
does.
yeah, just sort of just like a crazy magic lady that I thought sounded really cool because my first couple of ideas I thought fell flat, and I was like, let's do something fun.
Casting yourself in molten copper is something I've never heard of before as far as like pathway to insight. And it's very evocative. I love it instantly.
Yeah, I can't recommend it for everybody.
Now, it's not a choice I think all of us would make, but if you're confronted with a true path to embracing the cosmos, it's on the table, right?
Hmm.
So that's a great starting point. Anything else we want to say before we look into the submissions today?
No, not really. I mean, I think if anybody else wants a little bit more, I think I have like a paragraph that was written earlier, but otherwise, I think we can kind of get into it.
Awesome. Great. I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody did. Is this the beginning? Did we start at the beginning here? Oh, wait,
I
no.
think,
The first
yeah,
one out of the bat.
there we go. Yeah, now,
Okay. Yeah. So Guanto's got a little meme submission here. Dude, what part of dress casually didn't you understand? uh, can someone admonish me for overdressing as well? I spent a lot of time on this. Yeah, Guanto is absolutely nailing the social interaction here. Artistically keeping it very simple, though.
I love it.
It's fun. It's very fun. I mean, I mean, the fashion seems to be almost a secondary effect of dipping yourself in molten copper. But I guess oh, and
I
it's
feel like
also they're calling attention to the very T-shaped head here.
And I feel like the face really like encapsulates the anxiety I have currently for doing this.
All right, cool. Well, great job, Guanto. You got us to laugh genuinely. And then Scott somehow managed to finish his 3D version before just about anybody else. Aside from a simple meme post, Scott managed to throw this together in ZBrush.
It's
Absolute ZBrush wizard, possibly dipped in copper. It's one of the only explanations I have for how he's able to pull this off.
Absolutely insane, I have to say.
Completely crazy.
Yeah,
I I mean, I saw this and I was just like, okay, well, like maybe next time wait until other people get their submissions in, because I saw this, I was like, I am not going to be able to do a piece to this capacity, like for in this time frame. It's just like I got overwhelmed this month and I couldn't do anything. But this is just such a crazy submission, doing it all in 3D like this.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's absolutely insane.
there's the turntable also just below Pete if you
Oh,
scroll
okay,
a
yeah,
little
let's
bit. And
see.
then we can bring up Scott too. Remember that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could bring people up.
It's downloading right
God,
now.
if you would like to speak.
Yeah, Scott, do you have any insight into how you managed to pull this off within such a short period of time?
Yeah, what crossroad demon did you make a deal with in order to be able to pull this off?
I can't see the stage, so I can't see if Scott's actually here.
Scott is on stage.
Oh, okay.
Just got here.
there.
Some eldritch entity, I guess. No, I was super inspired by the original piece, and I think I started like the day after, and then left it alone for a couple of weeks.
And then this thing might have a lifespan past this. Does this thing have a lifespan past like this little community contest we're doing?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean it's a cool design. So I mean you're in the business of selling people minis and stuff. Yeah, I mean it's theoretically possible to get this thing printed out, and so figure out a way that Jangus could get a copy of this, right? Like,
I tried to make sure that it was 3D printable. It's just all the fingers or all the fingers. It's the amount of support this is going to need.
yeah, it seems like a complex piece to get made, but it seems like it could continue to have a little bit of a life past this point, just because it's so professional and finished and really like unique looking. I mean, I really feel bad about missing out on this challenge this month, not just because I feel like I'm letting Jangus down, but also because this is a really cool design. So it's inspiring to see it fully fleshed out in 3D like this.
Yeah, I think it's also really nice to know that there's other people that have very similar sort of inspirations and interests that I do when it comes to artistic like visions. And this is if I could do things in 3D, I would want to be able to do stuff like this. This is very impressive.
Yeah, awesome stuff. All right, Scott, anything else you want to say before we move on to the next one?
Thanks. I'm glad everyone enjoyed it.
All right, great. Awesome. Well, it's amazing to see your work on this thing. And we just got a big wall of kudos here. You're going to scroll past the wall of kudos. Okay, Nanoboy is the next one to have a finished piece. Nanoboy, feel free to raise your hand if you're here and you want to talk about your work.
I do not see Nano Boy in the audience at this time.
So it looks like we've got the moment of the casting here, the molten copper being poured on his character's head.
I also like that it seems like it's as she's sort of peering through the veil as well too. I think that angle is really cool on this.
Yeah, it's great to see like a story moment being put together for the character. Like I always try to catch these big hero moments, but I always appreciate when people do story moments like this, just because it helps flesh, like collectively throughout the community, it feels like it fleshes out the character. So, Nanoboy says the description of Astrid's ritual sounded fun to draw, so I ended up going for a molten metal route instead of having to make all the intricate patterns, which would have killed me, lol. Oh, I think you would have survived. I think it would have been fine. Also, originally wanted to draw her hanging out of a gate similar to the one in Full Metal Alchemist, but had a black hole. Ended up fitting the composition and color scheme better. Fortunately, won't be able to join the event due to time zones. Look forward to watching the VOD and seeing everyone's reaction. Well, hello from the VOD, Nano Boy. Thanks for participating. This is a very cool submission.
Yeah, this is great.
All right, next up we got Romanus. Glad that I finally managed to submit a challenge. I had many attempts for the previous prompts, but wasn't able to finish them. Well, Romanus, you beat me. Everyone who submitted a piece this month beat me, which is great. This is...
we do have Romanus here.
Romanus, if you want to hop on stage and talk about your work.
Oh, at work. Sorry.
That's all right. That's a
But if you could type while
yeah.
Pete and Jangus are talking, that would be great. If you have any comments to add.
I love the style of the drawing here. I love like a good clean line art with some flats. I think it's very evocative.
Also, it seems like there's almost no straight lines, which my work is, I feel like, entirely straight lines. So I really appreciate the sort of like completely change from the just like everything seems like a very smooth, perfected line. Like, I don't know if that's, just doing 5 or 6 different iterations of each line or having some sort of corrective tool, but I think it turned out really cool. Like it feels like the character, but it also has like a very different vibe, almost more like regal with the sort of roundness to it, I feel like.
Yeah, the flowing dynamic lines. I had to pull open your piece when you said that. I was like, what is he talking about? Straight lines. Because I think about your work and I think about lots of overlapping organic shapes. But yeah, you do a lot of hatching. It's like a lot of buildup of like hatching and texture and not so much like focused on long, curvy, flowy, like Art Nouveau style lines. But bringing that Art Nouveau flow into this character design feels like a really natural fit. And, I think really brings out the personality in a great way. Even with this simple background, I feel like it's got a lot of like atmosphere and presence to it. So very cool piece. Thanks, Romanus.
Yeah, Romanus, thank you so much for doing your very first submission for the challenge. Looking forward to more.
And then we got Lulu's Soul, who I don't recognize the name, might also be a first-time submitter. If Lulu Soul is here, feel free to raise your hand.
Yeah, Lulu Soul is a first-time submitter, and they said, by chance, is this being recorded? I have a meeting soon, but would love to hear the full review.
Yeah, we're going to post this as a VOD up on the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I am recording this right now. I'm double check to make sure. Yeah. The screen record's running. It's working just fine. All right, yeah.
Lulu Soul, love the eyes on this.
In the past.
Yeah, there's great eyes on this one. I feel like the pose is very good, sort of like leading you into the like just straight into the eyeballs. I feel like it's trying to pull you in. It's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, this idea that like this character leads you into their own madness, I think is a really like great expression of the personality.
Kind of reminds me of praying mantises in a way where no matter what way you move, the eyes are looking at you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's like with the eyes covered, then it's like all the eyes of the void are the ones that are staring you down here. In your version, they're kind of looking all over the place, but in this one, it's like the whole mass of eyes is like staring straight at the viewer. It's very unsettling.
Yeah, it's very focused on the viewer. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Cool stuff. Thanks, Lou Soul. Godslayer 27 with I finished a couple weeks ago, but was debating on whether to upload or not because I felt like I could have done things better, but fuck it. That's right. Fuck it is, I think, the correct response. When you're not sure whether it's good or not, post anyway. Post it and let the tribunal decide. That's always been my philosophy. So I'm glad you chose to post.
Yeah, me too. This is really cool.
Lots of angular lines.
Reminds me a little bit of Persona with like
same.
the super like rigid lines, very graphic style. It's very anime with like the extreme perspective and the flat shading, and I think that's really cool. It's a really different vibe from the other ones because now we have more of like a actiony than like something that's more cosmic horror. And I think it's a good take on the character personally.
I feel like with the gross fingernails too, it's just as creepy. So I love that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we do not have Godslayer here. So just
But-
have to go off of your commentary.
But yeah, I always want people to just post their work, even if they're not entirely sure about it. I think that this is a super cool piece. So it would have been a real tragedy if Godslayer hadn't posted it. So if you're out there listening and you're in a similar conundrum, whether it's with the Draws in Your Style Challenge or one of the free classes we do or anything on the web where you're just not sure if you are standing up, like your work is good enough to post, like I say, go ahead and post it. Like we're all terrible judges of ourselves. And so the world is a better place when people are posting more artwork. So always go for it. And I think that the big boxy head here is really well expressed in this drawing. I think it looks really cool. And the giant bloody hand in the background as a framing element is just it's carrying so much of the piece. I mean, it's literally carrying the character.
Literally carrying, yeah.
But I think it's also really supporting the overall composition in a way that's like adding a lot of energy to it and making the whole thing much more striking.
Especially with this pose, it feels like that large hand is sort of pulling her into something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, very, very cool. All right, I forgot what this user's name is. They've told us before.
Reverie. Usually, if you click on the name, it'll show you the username.
Oh,
So
Reverie.
that's what Yeah.
Oh, it's
Emma.
Emma. That's
They're in
right.
chat. Emma, would you like to speak on stage?
I think it's great to see a traditional submission like this.
They're a
I
bit
feel like
shy.
It's fine if you're shy. We see usually just a couple traditional submissions every single round, and I am always proud of everybody who does stuff in traditional because I really love the feeling of making traditional artwork, and we're so results focused that it's really easy to ignore it these days because it's a little bit easier to do stuff on the iPad, or do stuff on the computer where you can correct mistakes. And but there's something so essential and valuable about doing things traditionally. And so whenever anybody goes and does the whole challenge traditionally, even if it's just in pencil or just in pen, I think it's always something to be commended. So I'm into that aspect of it, even beyond like the good drawing and the cool character design.
No, I agree. I think I've been working in nothing but pencil and ink in the last like 6 months, and so it's fresh on the brain.
Yeah, drawing this many fingers in ink is a hell of a task.
Yeah. But these turned out great. I think the interlocking pattern on the front was done really well. I think the angled up look, especially with like the almost sunken in eyes, definitely sort of draws you in a bit. I like that.
Emma says, I tried to keep it mysterious and wanted to do more a portrait. It was a super amazing design, and I really enjoyed drawing it. Love your work. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Emma. And
Yeah,
great
Emma.
job on the finger. With the fringe? What part of the clothing is the fingers making here?
I think we could call it a fringe. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all the work they went into every single one of those, getting all those fingers, the pattern of them really came together nicely. And so I think that's a big highlight for this drawing here. Great job, Emma. All right. We got Toby99. Hey, everyone. This started with an idea of her standing in front of a giant eyeball with the crystal ball in her hand. Eventually, it morphed into what I have here.
We do have Toby here if Toby would like to join and speak about your piece.
I'm
Said
seeing
sure.
2D painting, but also maybe some 3D base. Is this a mix of Blender and Photoshop? If you're coming on stage, I'd love to hear a little bit about your process because it's a very interesting looking piece with it looks like you've got a bit of a mixed media approach to the whole challenge.
Yeah,
Toby
I
is here.
wanted to try the 3D to 2D type thing. I started with a sketch, and then I tried to block things out in 3D, and then do like a simple material assignment. Nothing like, nothing too crazy. I just wanted to see like what I can do with this new workflow that I've been learning, because I wouldn't be able to do it otherwise.
It's a lot of little guys in the background.
It's a lot of little guys.
Little guys.
They're great.
Yeah, I sort of like wanted to make the little guys into like a pillar that's supporting the architecture, and I sort of like how it turned out, but it's also a little horror-ish, I guess. I want it to be a little more whimsical at first, but it looks like it's something a little more horror, I guess.
I think if I was in this room, that would put me off pretty bad.
Yeah, these little guys are very uncomfortable, and I'm all for it.
Yeah. And I really like the design of how she has her eye covered and she can like see with the eyeballs like in her hand, or so I just wanted to push that eye element in a way, like I just sort of like how it turned out.
Yeah,
And,
honestly, like that eyeball is really cool here. Like you have this like painted effect on the eyeball that I think turned out really well, because it's giving me very like molten metal vibe like within it, and I think that's really cool.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, we've got the kind of molten copper look for the what's the colored part of the eye called again? This is one of those things.
I was trying to think.
Huh?
Yeah, I was trying to think of it too, but
It's not the sclera is the white part, right? What's the colored part?
It's the iris.
Yeah, just the
the
iris.
iris?
Yeah, there is so much detail on a real iris when you look at it up close with like a super macro shot, and they're always so interesting and inspiring if you like organic shapes. So making that a major feature of this and tying it back into the themes of the character is like such a cool choice. I love that part of it. I think that's probably my favorite part of the piece.
Thank you. It was really fun sculpting those little lines on the iris, and also like doing the sculpt in general. I feel like it was very meditative while I was doing those little bits and pieces. And when you brought up Donato Giancola, how he has like a painting of a robot holding a galaxy, I sort of wanted to like do that instead of her holding a crystal ball, because it just feels cooler, I guess.
Yeah, I also did a character where they were like holding a solar system in a similar kind of pose. I don't know. I don't think anybody owns it. I think it's open for anybody to do it. It's a cool idea. I think it's a very good match for the expression of this character. And I like the way that you have, even though you're using 3D where you could have matched the anatomy to be like perfectly anatomically correct, you've exaggerated the anatomy in a way that makes it feel kind of like a Dark Souls character. In the Dark Souls games and in Elden Ring, they push the physical anatomy of the characters underneath their clothes and their armor, especially the boss characters, to really extreme proportions in order to give them like an epic personality that exists beyond the average human body type. And so like doing that, I think is absolutely the right choice for this kind of character. And so it's great to see you do that instead of sticking to what realism demands. Because, with 3D, you can just nail the proportions if you wanted to, or you can seek the cosmic wisdom and start to distort the human form beyond its like normal capacities, which is like, I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to go stare into the void.
Yeah, for sure. Just have to make the arms extra long. Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't make sense otherwise. Like, it wouldn't make sense if you look at the anatomy, but
I think for me, it's all about like the distance between like the chin and the chest, like that neck extension. I feel like it's really ominous to me, and I like it a lot. Like I'm drawn into the face because of like how separated it is from the shoulders. If that makes sense.
extra long neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we were to see the skeleton, it would look insane. But like how it is with the character all dressed up like this, it looks so perfect. It really like sells the personality and like the design in like a really effective way. I think it looks awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job, Toby. Anything you wanted to say before we move on to the next submission?
I think that's all.
Awesome.
Thanks,
so
Toby.
much for your submission. It's very creative.
Thank you.
All right, we got Delia here. Astrid is sad because people don't want to listen to the truth or believe her foresight. Nice. We got another one where Astrid is socially awkward. I think that there's like a growing personality trait here that behind the cosmic madness, we've got somebody who's a little bit socially misunderstood. Very fun. Delia, are you here? Is Delia here? Delia's
Yep.
able to throw herself on stage, so.
She's correcting a mic problem. Is what it looks
Okay.
like.
That's all right.
And Mike always has an issue every time. Yes, I'm here. I was happy that Guanto started with the silly one because I knew a lot of people were going to make really epic versions of Astrid, and I'm like, we got to tone it down. I feel like realistically, if I had that amount of power, knowledge, and I probably go insane a little bit, but also have like I don't know a crisis, and Astrid just needs to have moments too, probably where it's like, oh wait, you don't want my knowledge, like you don't want to know the truth, or you don't believe what I have to say, and it just kind of spirals. Like, was this all for nothing? Like, I was going down this whole like random like silly alternate universe of her, and then I thought, oh, she has a bunch of eyes, she could just be like crying in her own tears.
Isn't that the mythological story? Is it Cassandra, the prophet that no one believed what she had to say?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, Cassandra.
Oh,
and
I
then
didn't know
they've
that.
got
Wait,
a
that's funny.
They've got a character in the new Game of Thrones series in House of the Dragon that also has the ability to see the future that everybody ignores because she's autistic. And so everyone just like badmouths her and like never listens to what she has to say, even though she's able to like clearly see the future. So it's like there's like a really strong mythological basis for this. It's not just like a silly thing. But I think the highlight for me of this is actually the concept of a rain cloud that is a bunch of like cosmic eyes that are all crying is actually really kind of sick. It's
very cool.
I've
Yeah.
never seen that before. And yet, I mean, you hear about, like the idea that rain is some sort of like heavenly tears is, I think, a really simple idea, but I've never seen it depicted like this. And to depict it in this really simplistic style, I think actually like really makes it punchy and cool, but also like a little bit terrifying. It's on the kind of like cosmic horror front. I think you're actually like really tapping
Oh,
into something.
cool.
I think, yeah, any sort of cloud with eyes, I think, is going to be very, very upsetting to see.
Yeah, the
Awesome.
cloud. So it's like she's sad, but the cloud, the eyes have gained like a lot of personality through this way that you're expressing them here. It's very cool.
Yeah, I wanted them to like work together as one. I don't know if all those eyes are like, I don't know, maybe her eyes or the eyes of the void or whatever, but I thought it's like kind of like a part of her. It's looks reflective.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm glad it worked out because I was fiddling with so much with the colors and how I wanted the piece to look because it's a little more earthy, muted in this one in some areas. And so I was like, oh, like I really wanted the clouds, some sort part of the eyes have some punch, so they kind of pop out a little bit more. And I didn't know what to do. I tried the cloud a couple different times, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep it flat and simple.
I think it works. I think it looks really good. I always love to see that you're constantly iterating whenever you're doing design work. That, it's like we all want to just nail it and want to be like, well, this is what I thought of. This is how it works. And you're always working through an idea by trying and failing at a lot of stuff until you finally like settle on something that you push forward with. And like, to me, that's what designing is all about. So it always seems to, whenever you're sharing your work, you always end up revealing a little bit about your process, and that's always fun to see.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, any parting words for us?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
All right, cool. Well, thanks so much for sharing your stuff. It's great as always. Love to see it.
Thank you.
I just cannot get enough of that screen tone that
Oh
that we
yeah,
use, 'cause I
Delia's
feel like
iconic
that-
screen tone effect.
it's so like professionally used. I love that. It's just it blends in so seamlessly, and I feel like having the different like polarizing colors, having that be part of the blending, like looks really cool every time I see it.
Yeah, and in the clouds too, just like creating a little bit of additional texture in there so that the simple you what you see is the simple graphic expression of like the line art for the eyes, but it's like amplified by this cloudy effect with the screen tone mixed in.
Mhm.
All right, next we got Dustbot 3000. Oops, grabbed the wrong JPEG. She sees the eyes of the void. Okay.
We do have Dustbot here if Dustbot
Dust-
would like to speak on stage. Sure. Awesome. Great. Here we go. All right, Dustbot, you are on stage. Can you hear us? Are you?
There we are.
There we go. Awesome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you. So, what was your experience like with the challenge this month?
It was a ton of fun. As soon as Jangus put up the prompt, it was one that I was immediately drawn to. I love Eldritch horror, and normally I'd go. I like doing these in pencil and ink and just going a little crazy with that sort of stuff and working through things with the Copics. But this one I felt deserved a whole lot of color, and the whole process behind it felt a lot like a Dark Souls boss. And so I leaned pretty hard into that and thought about, all right, what has happened to her over the millennia that she's been exposed to eldritch beings and the void and being a gateway between the two planes. And so this is her in her unhinged arc of life.
Nice. It's building on the history and showing us like what Astrid might be like in the future.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
I think Unhinged is putting it lightly. Like she looks insane, and I think it's great. Yeah, that expression is just like there is no humanity left. She's just crazy.
Yay, it worked.
I can see how much fun you were having with all of the tentacle shapes in the background. Like it's something that's, you're saying you typically do these things traditionally, but that kind of work I think is way easier to do in digital painting. And so, seeing you use the medium to its full advantage here is really great. Cause like I could just see like the hours of enjoyment of going through all the little knobbly shapes and twists and turns that all the goop is going through. It's always my favorite thing to see in art is when the artist is like clearly having fun with their medium and with the subject. More so than whether something is my taste, I want to see like the artist's personality and their joy of art making on the page. And I feel like, that's to me is the highlight, is all of that stuff.
Yeah, this was just so much fun. Pleasure to work with this one. This character was great.
Yeah, all the different eye shapes and the pupil differences and all the eyes are really cool.
Yeah, the little subtle character hue, the little like hue variations throughout all of that goop is just like very, very appealing. Looks really cool.
Thank you.
I also really loved like the headdress sort of decomposition to where it's sort of falling apart to whatever the base form of it was. I think it's very cool.
Thank you. I really liked the idea of having that sort of almost Giger-esque bioorganic circuitry look underneath as how it grew out of her head originally during the ritual.
Yeah, really cool idea. All right. Any parting thoughts, any parting words for us before we move on?
There's a fun little Easter egg that if you really got crazy, the runes on her headdress are in Icelandic and do translate to an actual phrase.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Oh,
That's very cool.
Very cool.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Well, I'm glad I asked. Thanks so much for all the work, Dustbot. Awesome piece this month.
Thank you so much.
All right, next up we got Wagyu. Wagyu says, sorry about the lazy coloring and rendering. Felt like a demon was stopping me from properly finishing this piece. You got a demon problem, Wagyu?
We got Wagyu here.
Wagyu's
Wagyu
here.
is, if you would like to speak, Wagyu. Let's see what they say.
I want to hear about this demon problem that you got.
No mic. Oh no. Okay,
No mic,
Wagyu.
all
You can type while everyone speaks
It's
on
such
stage.
a good teaser. I want to know more.
Also, I don't know if the demon is a problem.
Yeah,
Like, this is very, very cool.
yeah. The demon might be bringing the best parts out, and then who knows where the resistance is coming from. Maybe you should be listening to what the demon says more. I guess I mean I love the underlying drawing. I think that this is like a really cool kind of splash art version of the character with the exaggerated perspective and the landscape view of it. Like this to me feels like the building blocks that are building up towards like a epic splash art. Keeping things monochrome. I don't know. I kind of like it.
It feels very like noir, and
Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah, considering that it's like, it's the themes of cosmic horror, doing stuff with like a limited color palette and like with very little local color, to me feels like a totally appropriate choice for this character. Any commentary from Wagyu about this potential demon situation that's going on?
Yeah, what do you have to say about it, Wagyu?
What do you have to say for yourself?
Oh, Dustbot says this feels like a duotone lithograph almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. That'd be really cool.
All right. Well, it's difficult with the text communication. I don't want to be sitting here silent on mic too much. Thanks so much, Wagyu. It's an awesome piece. Jangus, any final commentary?
There was somebody brought it up in the chat. The eyeballs under the headdress are a very cool idea.
Oh, yeah.
I just have to say that.
Oh yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
I noticed that.
And like the palm of the hand, also very cool.
And this might be the only. I'm going to make note of this. Wagyu might be the only person that drew an eyeball for an actual eye for Astrid throughout the whole challenge.
Oh, that's true. This might be the only
Might be
one.
the one and only time we actually see your whole face.
Wagyu says, so I just couldn't figure a way out for rendering all those fingers because I'm not really a details guy.
Oh, not a details guy. I think maybe you haven't discovered how dumb and easy details are. I think if you zoom in far enough, everybody's in details. Everybody can do details. That's
also
the
think
joy of digital art, is that you don't need to be precise or smart or like have a steady hand or anything. You just need to zoom in until the program tells you can't zoom in anymore, and then you're in detail zone. It's great.
Yeah, and sharing this, I feel like all the hard work is done. You just have to do the monotonous part. Doing little stuff. Like,
It's not monotony. The details are fun. The details are a part of the joy of it, I think.
Oh, you don't have to tell me.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've seen the truth. You've seen the cosmic truth of what living life at 1200% zoom, the joys that you can find living in the micro scale like that. You know it.
Mm-hmm. I may or may not have a magnifying glass when I work on ink stuff. So yeah, I get it.
All right, moving
Wagyu,
on.
thank you so much for your submission.
Yeah, thank you. Moving on, Wisp
Hazel.
I almost want to pronounce that as a PH.
Wisp Hazel is here. If you'd like to
Wisp
speak on
Hazel's comment
stage.
says, I have not worked from sketch to final in a long time. Thanks for the awesome character. You came out of retirement specifically for this challenge, and you did an excellent job. That is, I feel like a lot of honor. Very honored that you took so much time and effort to make a piece for the challenge. If you haven't been doing it for any other reason,
Yeah, we've got Wisp Hazel here on stage, and yeah, feel free to share
Yeah.
your thoughts.
It was a really awesome character. And so I wanted to kind of focus on like the moment sort of like just before and like kind of like that creeping sort of temptation. And the fingers were the part that like weirded me out sort of the most about Astrid. So I wanted to focus on that.
It's really cool. I think that the storytelling of this piece is right on. I mean, you can feel like it's something creeping from inside the shadows that's tugging at this character's consciousness.
Almost like the ritual she has to go through is not necessarily 100% her idea, which I really love that.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's right on. It's really cool to see, like, because this feels almost like you're creating this canonical moment of like what building up to the sort of enlightenment ritual.
Yeah, I love how
Thank you.
the fingers kind of like hold up the head in a way. It's really cool how that trying to figure out how that what's happening under the hood there is really cool. It's very mysterious.
Also, out of retirement is already impressive. Yeah, like this is great.
Yeah, you should stay
Yeah,
out
I've
of
been
retirement.
hiding in my sketchbook.
You should be making stuff from sketch to final all the time if it's going to look like this.
I'll try to come out of my sketchbook more often.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, the sketchbook's a wonderful place to live, but I mean, you're so good at digital painting, it would be great to just see you post more.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your piece or the challenge?
No, I'm a pretty simple person.
Great. Well, thank you so much for participating.
And thanks for coming on stage.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we've got Baron Wilhelm IV. Gonna just call it and submit before I overwork it. It's already overdone in some respects. Went with a Geiger/Lovecraft sort of vibe for some of the cosmic costume elements and the tentacle flame power stuff. I've been listening to a bunch of Conan the Barbarian audiobooks, and it really just gave me the idea to make her outfit a little bit more risque, to show how she horrifically burned from the copper pouring ritual. Very interesting. Sorry, I accidentally clicked TIFF. Lol, here's a PNG.
Yeah, Baron's not able to make it to the event today, so.
But holy moly, what an inventive take on this character. This feels like an epic reimagining of Astrid.
Yeah, I've been following along. There was a lot of work in progress shots for this one, and I was trying to not do any nudging or make any suggestions, but I think all of the creative decisions really put this into like, this is a witch straight out of Conan. Like, I think it was done exactly how they were trying to pull it off. Like the headdress is very Geiger, which I love, especially because I saw Alien the other night, so it's like fresh on the brain.
Yeah, I've been seeing this big push recently where, like, everyone said fantasy is all Tolkien, right? Tolkien like owned fantasy for the last several decades, with Lord of the Rings being a big part of the cultural consciousness. And then there's been this return to Conan, I feel like has been happening, where I keep seeing more and more Conan inspired content around. People bringing up Conan as like a sort of pre-Tolkien inspiration, going back to like the earlier roots of fantasy. So it's a really, really interesting trend that I'm really curious to see how many more people pick it up and go with it, because it feels like this completely different avenue of fantasy apart from what we think of as our conventional, fantasy tropes. Even though Conan is something that is, right there at the foundation of the fantasy genre. Our modern interpretation of it is it's so much more informed by these other inspirations. And now we're like looking back at what can, where all this stuff came from, and finding even earlier maybe even more pure inspirations for it. So it's really cool to see that as a touchstone for this design.
Yeah, I do really love Lord of the Rings, but there's something special about like the Frazetta style fantasy stuff that I have like a stack of old heavy metal magazines that is constant sorts of inspiration.
That would be really interesting if we move away from Tolkien towards Frazetta as like the major cultural touchstone for fantasy. That would be a huge cultural shift, and it's like that's something that comes with a groundswell of people who are authentically interested in it. So it's cool to hear that people are going back and rereading all that old Conan stuff. It's something I definitely need to make time for in my own life.
Yeah, Baron, great job on this one. Too bad you weren't able to make it, but hopefully you get to see all the commentary on your piece in the VOD.
Yeah, and this piece really did come together awesome. Like what a cool design, and all of the attention to detail inside the headdress and everything really paid off. Like awesome work on this one. Thanks so much for participating. Next up, we've got Sifirk. Sifirk says,
I do not see Sifirk in the audience, so I think we're going to be going off of just commentary from you guys.
All right. Sifirk says, this is my first time participating in this sort of monthly challenge. I really enjoyed it. I think I've improved a lot and looking forward to the next one. Awesome to hear. Wow. What a cool piece, too.
Yeah, this is great.
This feels like the Astrid the Voidseer novelization cover.
Yeah, or like there's a play, the...
Oh, yeah. Like straight
titles.
off-Broadway play, Astrid the Voidseer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool because it feels like it's really painted for print. It's got a bit of a traditional vibe to the overall painting style, and the graphic design of the whole composition is really making like a complete, I think this is what we're responding to, is this really complete graphic composition that feels like a poster or a book cover more so than just a character design. And that is, it's way different from what I usually see when I see character art posted around on the internet. And I just think it's super cool. Like, I think it's like a really fresh vibe.
I think it reads really well, and I also really like how all the eyes are seemingly staring directly at her, which I think is cool. So it's not necessarily maybe her magic, but it's it's the price to be paid.
Yes. And yet she's looking back at it, and her hand is interacting with the stream of energy, and so there's this back and forth relationship between her and this like. The yellow background color you put on your character has really inspired a lot of people's choices for this challenge. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, that you've managed to pick a color so striking that people have largely insisted on including it as like a key part of the character design.
I love that because that's like one of my favorite colors. Is that like weird sort of almost neon gold yellow? Like,
yeah, it's a cooler shade of yellow. It's on the cooler variety, and it's distinctive. I think if you had a fridge this color, everyone would call it ugly, but I think it's there's a little bit of you using secondary colors on the character design as well. I think there's a certain amount of offness to it that it helps establish the color identity for the character overall, that there is something that's off with this figure. And I think that, we're seeing that we're not just seeing like all of the iconic pieces like the giant square headdress and all the finger nodules, but like the color identity of the character has become like an essential part of who Astrid is, which is really interesting.
I'm also really upset by the detail on the right hand of what looks to be the fingernails bleeding. I think that's very well done. just a little touch that makes it uncomfortable for me that I'm all about.
Oh yeah, it's tiny, but it's there.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, it It's a really cool piece. Thanks so much, Sifric. Any final comments before we move on? All right. Well, next up we've got Sean Gillespie. Sean says, so hard to call this done when I've been stewing on it for weeks, but I think it's time to bite the bullet. Cheers, Jangus, and well done to everybody on their submissions. Sean here?
Sean is here.
Sean's usually here.
Yeah, there we go.
Whoa.
Sean is here.
Hello,
Hello, Sean.
how you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
So you've done a piece very much in the same sort of mode that I like to do typically. Flying character.
I swear I'm not copying or stealing. That's not it at all.
But like the floating character, cloudy background to me is just like it's a method I go back to a lot, just because I love it. I love the aesthetic of it, and so it makes me like this piece quite a bit. Just the way that it's structured, the composition of it, I think is super strong, and I love that you've taken your own spin on the character design as well.
Thanks very much. I wanted to give the idea that she was like holding back the magic from coming through the box on the head. I don't know if that came across. Yeah.
So instead of trying to like project it outwards, it's like just barely holding it back.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, and then it's bursting through. So instead of having the fingers be kind of molded, you have like whole hands coming out of the interior of the robes and sort of bursting.
Oh yeah, I stole that actually. I can't take credit for that. What's the name? Nasami, who did the clay piece or something? I think it's clay. That was their idea, so I stole that one. I have to give credit for that one.
Okay, cool. Well, congrats to them then for coming up with an idea strong enough to inspire you. So, what are your feelings? Anything else you want to say about the piece?
No, I just wanted to try and work on my composition and colors and try and do details, which is not the strongest point in this piece, but I definitely think other people did better on the headdress. But
Jangus, what do you think?
Guys,
Yeah, the flow on this one I think is really cool. Like the clouds are all sort of like pulling faster, which I really like. I also really like how you did the eyeball sort of spiral effect. I feel like everything's sort of going directly into the headdress, because so it's all leading you into like almost her face, which I think is really cool. And again, yeah, I'm also just a big fan of the idea that she is the portal, and sort of depending on, as we've seen, how insane she becomes. Depends on how much leaks out, but yeah, this is great.
the eyeballs really remind me, like they have a Symphony of the Night or Terraria type feel. I like those kinds of eyeballs.
Yeah, the whole thing feels like part of a video game. This feels like a retro video game. With like the
I like the the spikes sticking out of the bottom of the helmet there is really cool in the design.
Oh yeah. It's very cool.
with the really iconic looking simple eyeballs, and then and all of the intense rendering on it. That combination of those two elements reminds me of a lot of really great classic fantasy painting from like the 70s and 80s, and I think that's what makes me relate it to like old school cover art from like early generation video games. Something that I've got a huge nostalgia for.
Cool.
All right.
Anything
I wanted to
else
have
you would
that
like to say?
graphic piece on top as well, like the rendering, but also like the punchy graphical things. So yeah, good that that's noticed.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool choice. Any final commentary? Anything else you want to add?
No, thanks very much. Good challenge. Great character, Jangus.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for
Yeah,
the submission.
Sean,
Yeah, this was great.
thanks so
See you
much
later.
for participating.
All right. Next up, we've got Amanda. Oh, Amanda did start it over. I saw a different Amanda piece earlier. Amanda says, I could keep working on Astrid easily for another day or two, but it's time to call this piece done. Is Amanda here? Do you want to discuss the controversy I've just
Amanda
raised?
is here.
The controversy.
I think people are asking what happened to the old Astrid piece. Because
Hey,
hey, how's it going?
it's good. So I actually have had 3 different iterations.
Yeah, we haven't had this level of controversy since there was all the Mr. Beast stuff. So I feel like you need to speak on this.
Okay, so I didn't end up sharing my second whip. My first one, I was like super into it. I had a chat with you, Pete, about it, and I just could not like orchestrate everything together. I've been like having a hard time being like, here's my really cool sketch, and now I can't seem to figure out the values or the color for it. And I was trying to like make it work, and I'm like, this isn't working. Let's try this other idea. Didn't like that one, and I'm like, let's just do this bust shot of her looking crazy. And I'm like, okay, I'm kind of getting somewhere with this one.
Well, she definitely looks crazy.
Yeah, all the pieces shared the same thing, or like I wanted to like really focus in on her like actually this like madness where like all of them, her headdress, I have like an eyeball where it's almost kind of like alive, or maybe like during this copper pouring ritual, maybe something was coming out of her and they encased her in it kind of thing. So like whatever's left of Astrid, I imagine there's not a lot of her there, but something's taken her over.
I really like the way it's kind of peeking out over the edge of the composition here, the like half cropped eyeball that's like so critical to the composition is a really bold choice, and I think it really works here. So
yeah, I was going for like there's this eyeball here, but don't worry about it.
yeah. Oh yeah, that giant eyeball that's sticking out of my forehead. Don't pay attention to that. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
I think with
good.
all of the detail being sort of focused in on like the mouth and the teeth, I feel like everything else is just like once you start looking around, you're like, oh no, this is extra uncomfortable.
Nothing's okay here.
When you look away from the really uncomfortable mouth, you know in the back of your head, that mouth is still waiting for you when your eyeballs get back to the center of the composition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's trying to like get this like black ichor coming out of her mouth, like she's like nothing's okay.
Yeah, she's not doing it. Things are not okay in Astrid world right now.
No.
All right. Well, thanks for addressing the controversy. Any other commentary that you want to make today?
No, I don't think so.
All right, great. Well, awesome looking piece. Thanks so much for participating. Did you post the whips in the channel, the ones that you abandoned? Oh, she's already gone, I think. Okay.
She said no, but I can.
Oh, no, you can't. Okay, yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I'm sure I brought it up. I thought the sketch I saw was really good, so I was just hoping that other people got to enjoy it too.
Looks like we're going to use chat peer pressure for that to be done. So
Yeah, I'm just going to peer pressure people into posting good work on the internet. Like, I hope that that's not too much. But yeah, great job, Amanda. Thanks so much for participating. As always, it's cool to see your stuff every time. Moving on, we've got Dave. Here's my submission. Everyone did an amazing job my first time here. Well, Dave,
Nice.
you're doing something here, man. This is crazy.
yeah, this is a pretty wild organic sort of growth on her, which I really like.
I love it. I
Oh,
really
Dave says no mic.
no, Mike. It's okay. Yeah, you've tipped almost. You've totally failed to tip your hand here on what's going on. You know, with yourself or your submission. But I am immediately attracted to this piece. There's something so interesting about the pattern that you've created here. And it feels like this could form up into that giant square shape if it were to continue to grow out of her eyes. And then the collar, the fingers around the collar, it feels almost like, you know, a manifestation of her hands or other hands that are progressively, you know, forming up into that pattern. So it feels like we're sort of metamorphosis here. So we've got this character who's like in the middle of like transforming, and it's really horrific. This is, I think, maybe the most horrific one we've gotten.
I think I have to agree with you because there's a little detail that I'm a sucker for little gross details. But if you notice that all of this organic copper shape is coming directly out of the iris, so you can actually see a little portion of the iris on both eyeballs.
Oh God. Yeah, the way it's kind of forcing its way through the skin of the eye it is really gross. It's really, really gross. The whole piece is really unsettling. And then just like the pitch black background and the way that like the fringe of the character is sort of disappearing into darkness is just truly horrifying. I feel like as far as the horror elements of this, you really leaned in a powerful way.
Yeah, the fongers are good down there on the bottom. Like, looks like a couple of sets of hands all sort of stacked. I like that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, feel free to drop some commentary in the chat, Dave. But you're creeping the hell out of us here. Which, since that's the intent, I think you're doing it. I think you're getting it done. Great job.
Yeah, a lot of disturbing symmetry and like how the neck and shoulders kind of like fade out into darkness. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's like, it's come out of the darkness, but now we're right on top of it. Like the distance that we have from like the field of view of the viewer here is like she's right next to us. Like you are in pitch darkness right next to this thing that's currently transforming. It's a very unsettling place to be. Awesome stuff, Dave. All right, when Anthony draws, says, I'll do more on this after the challenge is over. This is what I have so far. And we got another traditional piece done entirely in pencil. Jangus, what are your thoughts?
I like the little doorway situation going on here. Like the eyes are sort of pulling me in, but then I'm noticing that there's that extra hand sort of guiding through the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
So this feels like since we're sort of building the lore as a community here, it seems like maybe this is like the final part where maybe she comes back through the door into the void and like doesn't return.
Yeah, there's the key. She's got the key in hand, and then the headdress is kind of turned into a shape of like a pointed shape, kind of like a traditional witch's hat.
Yeah, like it's curling up on itself, and I don't know if those are extra fingers or what's going on there, but I like it. I also did just notice there's a lock on the left side, so
yeah, there's a lot of little subtleties mixed throughout the piece. I'm sure that Anthony is likely to build on those as he works on this more, and then there's these like. It mixed in with the eyeballs, there's this floral motif that's expanding out as well, which I think is a great fit for this character.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at the original, in my mind's eye, I almost imagine that there is a floral motif, like some sort of suggestion of like a floral pattern on the gown or, some flowers around the character. And yet there isn't any. And so Anthony is bringing out this kind of subconscious suggestion of these floral patterns from this character. I think it's cool.
That is a really interesting idea. At one point I did draw not for this piece, but like a rose with an eyeball in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that could be an interesting sort of addition to her growth at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
All right, cool. Well, great job, Anthony. Nasami, this is the one that Sean was saying inspired him. And we've got another 3D piece, but this one is done traditional 3D. Holy crap, this is cool.
Yeah, I've been watching the progress shots on this one as well, and like I said, it's been really hard not to like want to chime in.
Yeah,
there's been some really cool stuff that's been shared.
Oh my god,
is Nasami here? Oh, Nasami is here.
Nasami, you want to talk about your work?
There we go.
I told you I haven't looked ahead, and so this is catching me off guard. This is a really awesome piece. I love the like simplification of it, like just bringing it down to the core elements. And so even though we're only seeing this like tiny part of the character, like it still feels iconically like this Astrid character. That's one of the reasons why I like the original design so much, is that it feels like it can be reduced down into like it's so big and bold that it can be made kind of iconic and simplified. And so taking that simplified like silhouette, bringing it down to these core elements, and then giving it this like conceptual idea of the hands bursting forth, that is so good. It's like bringing something extra to the table while also making it just crisp and simple and clear. And the fact that it's a physical item is
Just wild.
so cool. What is this made out of? Is this Sculpey? Is this like wax-based clay?
This is ceramic clay, so it will need to be fired in a kiln to really last. Yeah. And yeah, I've always liked busts. Like I always love doing busts. I feel it's just as you described, everything can be just condensed into this small portion.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna fire it? What are you gonna do with the original once you've fired it?
I mean, I'll fire it, and then I don't know. I might put a slight color on it. I'm not sure yet, and then I don't know what to do with it. I mean,
are you gonna try to sell? Are you gonna try to sell it? Are you gonna?
I would love to. I would love to if anyone want to buy it.
Jangus,
I imagine someone out there.
Yeah, imagine if there was someone out there who had a very specific interest in owning this piece.
If only, yeah. No, this is very cool. I mean, I obviously would hang this anywhere in my house, and I'm sure it would upset a lot of people that came to visit. But that's kind of what it's all about.
Yeah, can this thing be hung on a wall? Do you think?
Yes. So I did design a hole on her back that can be used too.
Very cool. How long did this take to put together?
It's a long time. I feel every one of my pieces taking so fucking long. So this, I think it's probably over 20 hours. I feel.
Oh gosh, yeah, you can tell. There's many hours put into this.
Yeah, a lot of love put in those hands.
After sculpting like the third hand, I started to feel burned out.
Well, I'm glad you saw it through all the way. And advice for Jangus here: if you let this slip through your fingers, you're going to regret it. So I think you should figure this out.
Aware. Yeah, you should keep me updated on what you do with this. It's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, once I fired it, I will post again in the channel. But it might take a long time though, because of some schedule and whatever. Yes.
Sure, but yeah, definitely like DM Jangus. Jangus, don't feel regret years from now. See what you can do to make this happen.
You know, I already missed out on some like giant oil paintings of 80s wrestlers that I'm upset about. So yeah, I probably won't be adding to that list anytime soon.
Cool.
Nasami, great work. I think everyone is very shocked, surprised, and very satisfied that you brought this far.
Thank you, guys.
Any final commentary before we move on?
No.
All right, great. Well, awesome job.
Thank you so much for participating, and we would love to see more sculptures in the future, for sure.
All right, next up we have Ophiuchus Mars. They say I had nearly a car accident in completing this piece, but I finished it. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Were you drawing while you were driving? That's
drawing and driving. Dang.
Yeah. Wow. That's a dangerous combination. Holy moly. But this is such a cool piece. Like is Ophiuchus Mars with us today?
It does not look like they're here.
Because I feel like we kind of want clarity on how you would nearly have a car accident in an attempt to complete a piece of art. But I love the way this looks. It's got a very occult quality to these. Occult runes are like right on. I've done a lot of research and collected materials on this for some projects, and this is such a great expression of that aesthetic. And then the sort of mold, like the way that the copper molding around the shoulders kind of works up into the organic shapes in the neck and everything. It's very cool. And then the headdress has been transformed into kind of a Egyptian inspired piece, which is matches the occult aesthetic, I think, really nicely.
Yeah, I think the two things that really are striking to me is the brightness of color over the eyes. I feel like looks like maybe it's still hot, which I think is cool. And then I'm really drawn to this the two palms with the eyeball thing on the belt. I think it's really cool.
There's a lot of iconography in this piece with the wheel of eyes around the hands, the wisps of cloud being done in kind of an iconic way, the snake on the headdress, like this mixture of all this different iconography together really creates a strong atmosphere of like magic and occult magic. And that, I mean, it carries so much of the piece. It's got such a strong mood and like atmosphere to it. And to do it all traditionally too, I think is extra, extra cool.
Yeah, very awesome piece. For some reason, it kind of reminds me of an indie game that I really love called Never Ending Nightmares.
Huh, I haven't heard of that one.
Different, but yeah, it's like it's disturbing in like a kind of simplified way, but yeah, I think it's really cool. That game is great if you've never tried it. But if your art looks like this, maybe it's worth checking out.
Yeah. All right, cool. Thanks for the suggestion, Dustin. All right, I'm going to move on. We got a lot of submissions this time out. I think that's really great to see. Tarnagel doesn't have a commentary. Is Tarnagel in the chat?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this one up a little bit bigger because.
Would you like to speak on stage?
The detail
I remember
level.
I saw you working on this in voice chat a couple weeks ago. Oh, sure. Okay. All right. We're bringing you up to speak.
Yeah.
Just click the button to join.
With the really long aspect ratio, Discord is not doing this thing a lot of justice in terms of being able to show off the level of detail and intricacy that we've got here.
It's quite large for an image. Yeah.
Did you get the notification to join on stage?
This is the sort of thing that I think would look really good in print. All this like fine detail, this really like tall aspect ratio. This is the sort of thing that when you put it on like a metal print or on paper, it just looks awesome.
Yeah. Does anyone know from the audience side what it looks like when you get invited?
You can also right-click on their name to try to like drag them up.
I just clicked on the invite to speak.
Oh, invite to speak. Yeah, there should be something in the interface. If they're on mobile, then it might be a little bit weird.
You tried it too, Delia. Yeah, what does it look like when we try and invite you up? Someone can give a little pro tip on how to join on stage after you've been invited.
Yeah, usually there's like a little notification thing in the chat.
Oh yeah, in the text chat there should be something where you have an accept button. But Discord does do Discord stuff every once in a while. So.
Okay, I canceled it, so let me try again. Maybe if that worked. You can also request to join.
Yeah, if you hit the request to speak, the raise your hand button, then we can pull you up. But you can't be brought on stage unilaterally. It has to be a mutual thing. Either you need to suggest it or you need to accept it from our suggestion.
There we go. He requested. There we go. Okay.
I'm noticing that some
requested and I clicked the button, but they're not on stage. Huh.
Yeah, it's Discord does some weird stuff sometimes. May not be cooperating correctly.
Dang. Yeah, maybe there's a bug or something.
But I want to point out that it looks like some of the pattern work on this decorative element in the background, it like not only does it look like an eye, but it's got some of the same pattern work as the cloth from Jangus's original design. These like rectangular spiral pattern. I think it's really cool the way that they've taken the design language of the character and blown it up into big background elements like this. I think that that's really interesting. And then there's this oil slick pattern that's going across this like surface that's sort of, to me, kind of like the boundary between reality and the void. And, you know, Astrid is just sort of floating right on the surface between the two worlds. And it looks like they've painted into that oil slick pattern a little bit to bring it out and add extra details beyond like what might have started off as like a procedurally generated pattern, because I'm seeing the artifacting on it, but then it's also like I'm seeing brush strokes and detail going into it as well. So really elaborate piece, a lot going on.
Lots of detail maxing going on here.
I'd be really curious to find out how the this like oil slick pattern was done, because that's a really cool effect, especially because it looks like you can see portions of it that are hand painted sort of on top of it. Which cool blending between the two.
Yeah, it's a really high effort piece. The Tarnagel's done a tremendous work here. I think as far as creating an epic poster version of this character, this is just an awesome representation. So sorry that the bringing on stage thing wasn't working so well, but I've been talking too much. Jangus, what do you think?
Well, I do really like this piece. I was sort of comparing the two, sort of the darker sort of large circle object versus the red one in the background. I was trying to see if it was the same one, but it looks like it's two different designs.
Wow.
Unless I'm not seeing them match up, which is equally insane. Like, this seems like a lot of work. Like, this is very cool. I'd be curious to find out how much time you spent on this.
Yeah, and learn more about the process. So if you want to share anything about your process in the WIP channel, feel free to post in there. I'm sure people will be curious to see steps that you went through in creating all this intricate detail. I know that in some cases, like, you have some symmetry here, so you only need to design like one segment here, and then it's flipped, and then it's flipped again. So it's like you've managed to get like this tremendous amount of detail out of extending out the little bit of work that you're doing with the symmetry on. And so I suspect that's where you're able to get both of these detailed circles done, and make them unique from each other. But then you've painted into it some in ways that are not purely symmetrical, which adds to the depth and the interest of it. It's a very, very cool effect. Really great to see all this design work on display, and the overall composition, I think, is just incredibly epic. So really great work. Congratulations.
It's had about 5 days of solid painting.
Wow. Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Very,
Love
very
all the
cool.
details. Super well done. Great. Thank you so much for participating. Love the submission. Looking forward to more of your work in the future.
And then we got Nicole. It's not done yet. Is the commentary from Nicole. Is Nicole here?
Nicole is here. Nicole, would you like to speak on stage? Let us know, and I'll send you a request to join. Oh, can't. Okay, it's all good.
Jangus,
Thank
what do you
so
think?
much.
I really like the grin on this is very sort of menacing. And I'll be honest, the sort of shaky line eyeballs, I don't hate it, because it feels like there's a, I can't think of the artist right now, but there's an animator that I like that does these sort of like really shaky line, not necessarily stick figure, but like maybe a step up from that, like style work. And I feel like that, like, there's a bunch of cool effects that you can do. Like if the eyeball was redrawn for each sort of panel as you're doing the animation. Like it has that like shake effect. I just think it, like, I know that they're saying it's not done, but I think even what you're showing here, I think looks really cool.
Yeah, there's something about it, the eyeballs being made of this kind of 3D yarn. That's kind of what it looks like, the way that it's done with the simple, thick brushstrokes like this. That's actually pretty cool. Excuse me. And yeah, the expression of the character is great. The atmosphere is great. Her being here deep in the darkness, like grinning back at these eyeballs, is so sinister. Just such a fun atmosphere.
Yeah, Nicole, thank you so much for participating. Looking forward to seeing what you end up doing with it if you end up going a little bit further with it.
Yeah, you can always take everything further. I know you say it's not done yet, but honestly, I if you hadn't said that, I wouldn't have suspected that you weren't finished. I think it's come together really great so far. Soaprit. Rough, but it's time's up. Shouldn't have procrastinated skull emoji. Yeah, you guys don't need to say that. Like, I'm not here to give like advice, but when you're posting, you can just be like, it's done, and just like pretend. And I don't think that I think that other people are less sensitive to it than you are. I think this piece looks really cool. I love the mixture of the rendered stuff with the graphic elements. It's something I've always loved to see in digital art, and I think you're pulling it off here in a really elegant way. So you could just pretend like it's done. I think you get away with it.
So Brett says can't talk right now, so
it's okay.
Commentary is up to you guys.
And they're also saying that it is done now. So yeah, yeah, there you go.
It's done.
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, if you ever go to a paid client and be like, hey, I didn't finish, but here it is, they're going to be pissed. You just tell the internet, like, yeah, this is the best anyone could have done. And you're going to have to agree with you, you know. It's because you're painting. You get to choose these things. But, yeah, Jangus, what are your thoughts on it?
You know, I really like the pose. I do like the sort of split between the graphic element of the eyes. I feel like that's really like striking. Like it jumps out quite a bit. I'm also drawn into how insanely long the fingers are on the hand, which I appreciate. Very cool. But yeah, no, I think this is cool, especially like how the bottom of the dress sort of like blends into what's going on. So I feel like everybody's done a really cool job.
Oh wait, the dress has hands coming through it underneath. These are handprints.
Oh boy.
I was thinking, they're like smoke, disruptions in smoke. And then it's like, no. Those disruptions have a pretty distinct shape to them. That's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And it's like really a secondary read because, you know, we're so caught up in the focal area of this piece. I don't think we all caught this all at first. Very cool.
No, I entirely missed it until you pointed it out. That's very cool. Yeah.
I just love the low light, the sense of low light and atmosphere inside this. It's like such a spooky vibe, and done with like really saturated colors is one of my favorite looks. I think that doing spooky saturated stuff with like tons of color in it is like an extra flourish that I think shows off a lot of confidence. Very cool stuff. All right. Thanks, Soprit. Great to see. And that's the final one. So now we're down to the absolute worst part of this, where you need to pick some runners up who are going to get some fruit stickers, and then a final grand winner for the competition who is going to be awarded with to have to do work. The grand prize of our Draw Us in Your Style competition every month is that you get to submit a character for everybody else to draw. And these days, nobody's got OCs anymore, so it typically involves you having to design a character and then show up for a meeting a month later to review all the work. With that in mind, Jangus, you want to walk us through your choices for this month?
Yeah, you know, I've been taking notes before, and then I've been writing a bunch of stuff down as we've been talking.
That's smart. I've seen a lot of people try to pick on the fly and get extremely anxious live on recording.
I can't say that I'm not, but one of the things that I think was really cool is to sort of be able to talk to people and then see, even with like the visual representation of how much they enjoyed doing the challenge. I think that's the piece, like that's the part that I'm really like looking for.
Yeah.
We've got, all of these are really cool, and yes, we've got some people in here that are flexing, and I'm all for it. But I think the people that I'm going to pick, I think, are entirely based off of, like, it looks like they had fun with the challenge, and that's kind of what I wanted. Is I wanted to give people this cool thing to do, and get people excited. Like, we've been having people show up at the Monday call, like starting to work on it and like asking me questions about Astrid, and they don't really post anything in the channel. So it's cool to see people that are excited to do about more creepy sort of horror stuff.
Yeah. All right. So, do you want to start with the runners up? Who's getting fruit this week? Or this month?
Let me see here. So I'm trying to. I gotta narrow down one more. So I apologize. Give me
You've had a month to think about it.
I have, but I didn't want to vote and like judge anybody until today. So
Okay.
I'm currently
Fair.
sitting at 6 total. So bear with me one moment while I flip through it again.
Well, let's can we limit it? Like, I guess I hadn't laid out how many runners up we're going to do, but I don't want it to feel like we give out, if there's 8 entries, I don't want to give it to 6 and then just leave 2 people out. So I want to leave the majority of people out. I want it to be a rare thing. Can we get it down to 3?
Down to 3? Yeah. Okay. So 3, including the winner.
No, 3 runners up and then a final winner.
3 runners up and a winner. Got it. Okay.
So let's say instead of runners up, we'll say honorary mentions. So 3 honorary mentions and then a winner of the overall challenge.
I'm going to say fruit enjoyers.
Fruit enjoyers, yeah. We got 3 fruit enjoyers, and then we got 1 ultimate punishment of having to do more work for next month.
Okay. Yeah, this is really hard. But I think I've got these.
All right.
Let's see.
Lay it on us.
Okay, so I have to say that I think I got to say Baron with the Conan sort of inspiration, I think is really cool.
Yes, Baron Wilhelm the Fourth.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Conan. Like I at one point was walking home and I found a box of books like on the side of the road that were full of old Conan like novels, and so I've read a bunch of those over the years. Just because they're cool.
Just discarded old fantasy novels. Someone's like, I'm gonna get into finance, and I'm leaving all of my fantasy novels behind. And you're like, oh, sweet, free Conan books.
Like I was walking home, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. What is this?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think that's excellent.
Congrats, Baron Wilhelm. You've got. Wait, I already gave him one.
Oh, you gave him
one.
one.
He's at tier 1. He's the tier 1 good at art. He's signified by your bold banana sticker. Congratulations on your banana sticker. It's the highest honor that I think a human being can be awarded. So, aside from, of course, the higher level tier fruit stickers that we have available for people who are repeat winners. All right, so who else you got?
Okay, I think next I'm going to say Toby 99.
Toby 99. Where is
with the 3D start with the paint over with the giant eyeball.
Nice, Toby.
Oh man, yeah, Toby. Toby doesn't have a banana sticker. Toby does have a banana sticker. He's going to get a bonus. He's moving his way up the tiers.
No, now he's got a banana sticker. There was no sticker
before. Oh, there was no sticker there before? Okay. Hell yeah. Well, now, Toby, you've got a name color that matches your PFP. Excellent bit of swag.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've seen Toby around here forever. So, like, I'm amazed it took this long for a banana sticker to materialize. Congratulations.
It also was, I think, Toby's very first submission. So.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
He's 1 for 1.
All right. 1 for 1. And then one final banana sticker or fruit sticker to give out.
Okay. I think I have to go Comet Board. I think Scott's model is just insane. And I'll be honest, it's hard not to give the win out entirely, but there's one that jumped out a little bit more to me.
Scott's in rare territory here. He's one of the only people who has a higher tier fruit sticker. So, I mean, you're still giving him one of the highest possible honors, but without actually saddling him with the work. He's just reopened his Patreon and has to do more models, so preventing him from having to do more work next month. I think you've really threaded the needle on this one.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the free time, or at least a little bit extra free time, might be well enjoyed.
Yeah, he's got a Kickstarter launching really soon too, so it'd be nice to not have to pile on more stuff onto Scott. All right, and then so who is the most punished of artists this month?
Okay, I think the most punished. It was a bit of a toss up for me, but I think we got to go Dustbot 3000.
Dustbot 3000, awesome stuff. Okay, so Dustbot, you've already got a banana sticker. I'm going to give you a level up to level 2 here. So as part of your win, and then I'm going to be in touch with you. Dustbot, congratulations. You're a big winner / most punished this month. I'm going to need an OC from you. You don't need to give it to me today. If you've got one, an existing one that you want everyone to draw, you can absolutely use that. If you want to create one expressly for the challenge for next month, feel free to hit me up with one. I'll DM you and we can be in touch about it. And then whenever you're ready, typically what happens is people take a week or two to figure out a character design. And if that's what you want to do, yeah, there's no specific deadline on it, but we'll get it launched when you're ready. So
we got Baron, Scott, Toby, and Dustbot.
Yes, congrats everybody. But I mean, congrats to everyone who submitted to the challenge this month. What an awesome group of pieces. This is always such a cool thing to see everyone participate in. Thanks Jangus for dedicating your time and your attention to working on this with us. This has been an awesome one.
It's always great to see more sort of surreal and horror fans and enjoyers come out of the woodwork to want to work on these together. I think it's great. All
right, cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today during the live recording here. Thanks for watching the VOD. If you're watching the VOD on YouTube, we'll be back with our usual schedule of everything. I'll see you guys around on the Discord. Love y'all. Have a good one.
Remember, everyone, it's good for you to participate because you will have the opportunity to, if you win, to have your OC
for free.
Done by have your OC drawn by other people or sculpted,
which is very anxiety inducing, but it's very cool. And then the one other thing I did mention when we started this that I was going to probably repost everything on Instagram. So I'm going to take everybody that submitted one. So I'll reach out and see if you've got a handle. And if you want me to post it with your handle and try and give you some clout, I'm more than happy to do that.
That's awesome. Very generous.
Everyone, thank you so much for participating. Really appreciate it. It's always good seeing all the awesome submissions, all the work everyone puts in for something that's just purely for fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have banana stickers. I mean, what higher?
Yeah, banana stickers. Yeah. And
All right. Well, thanks everyone. I'll see you next. See you around on the Discord, and then we'll be back here again next month with the next challenge. All right. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.